All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Crew Show at Levi's, and some early moments here before we go to training camp practice number 4. Niners getting ready to practice on Sunday. They're leaning a little bit on their history with a couple of new additions. Now, it was announced yesterday that Frank Gore is back with the organization as I think he's going to basically be kind of like a pseudo scout for them. It sounds like John Lynch said he's going to go on the road with some of their road scouts and just put another set of eyes. You know, Frank's got a world of experience. He probably knows what a good football player looks like from having played football his entire career. He has an interest in personnel, and obviously he's a Niner great. So Frank is back with the 49ers in a role where it sounds like he's going to help out in their whole game plan to try to get ready for the draft. And you know, when you have some kind of experience that Frank Gore has, that's always a good thing. I mean, it's never a bad thing to have a guy like Frank, you know, going with your road scouts, checking out some of these college kids. He's got a good feel. He's got probably a pretty good feel for not just running backs, but defensive players and just people in general. And he's got great passion to be a contributing factor of the 49er organization in the scouting, on the scouting side. And Frank's a future Hall of Famer, in my opinion, and one of the best in the biz. So I'm excited for that. I'm happy for Frank, and he's going to get on the road and help the Niners scout some of these young players. And heck, if he can help them find the next Frank Gore, the 49ers will be very, very happy that he did. The other news is that Dashon Goldson, the Hawk, is back with the 49ers as part of kind of a coaching internship program. And I love Goldson when he was a player, man. I mean, the Hawk was a hitter. I mean, you know, Goldson and Whitner were just a phenomenal tandem together during the Harbaugh years. And you know, Dashon Goldson if he can get Hufanga and Jair Brown, you know, Tayshaun Gibson's pretty much a veteran, but the one thing the Niners have a lot in their secondary right now is a ton of youth. And Jair Brown, if he gets a little bit of what Dashon Goldson had as a player, that would be a very, very good thing. Goldson was a hitter. Goldson was a tone-setting player. He had a great nose for the football. Him and Whitner would just knock the snot out of you. And you know, I don't know that you know, they could, Hufanga and Jair Brown can play that same way today without drawing penalties. But it should be fun to see Dashon around the 49er program. And this is something that Walsh established years ago, this fellowship program where you're giving young coaches an opportunity to kind of ply their trade, learn the craft, contribute to the football team. You know, there are very few things in life that are truly win-win, but that's one of them right there. You know, it's a win-win situation anytime you can have a 49er player of the past who played with reckless abandon, played with fire, played with intensity, played in a Super Bowl, and now he's sitting there talking to Jair Brown and maybe some of the other young safeties they have, Taylor Hawkins and the kid from Rutgers, and just look at, you know, just basically, hey, you know, this is how we did it. You know, this is how the safety position has evolved. And this is what I was thinking, and this was my mindset, and this is how we coached it up. And then you think of Dashon Goldson. He played for the 49ers when they had Ed Donatel as their secondary coach. Ed Donatel is a wealth of information when it comes to defensive backfield play. And so if he just imparts to Jair Brown and Taylor Hawkins and some of the Niner young safeties some of the lessons that he learned under Ed Donatel, I think that's an overwhelming positive for the 49ers. So I like it. The one thing, when you have tradition, like the 49ers have tradition, and you have, you know, proud veteran players or ex-players in this case that made significant contributions, and they want to come back and make contributions. I love that the team's open to it. I think it ties their you know, the current players more to the history of the game. And there's, being coached up, everybody's got a different perspective. The 49ers, you think of the 49ers in the 90s, there were many years there they had George Seifert as their head coach. Well, George Seifert was an incredible defensive backfield coach, but didn't stop the team from also bringing in Ray Rhodes and having Ray Rhodes there. Well, what's Ray Rhodes? Ray Rhodes is one of the best defensive backfield coaches in the league over the last 20, 25 years. So having another great, really informed, knowledgeable coach is hardly a bad thing. When you think about the 49ers in their heyday in the 90s, on the defensive side, John Marshall, Bill McPherson, Dwayne Board, Pee Wee. I mean, they utilized ex-players. They also utilized a number of coaches, and having another set of eyes on the players and trying to develop the players from within. I mean, that's what this thing's all about. And if you can impart some of the Niner history and some of the Niner tradition, that's great as well. But I just love the fact that Gore and Goldson are coming back. Gore, it sounds like, on the scouting side, Goldson more on the coaching side. But if these guys can make contributions to, the 49ers winning that 6th Lombardi trophy, I'm all for it. And I think it's a real positive for the team to have Gore back. It was great to see him on the sideline. And the Hawk is now back in the fold as well, at least temporarily as a coach. And that's great news for Jair Brown. If I was a young running back, I'd listen to Frank Gore. If I was a young safety, I would listen to Dashon Goldson. So these guys have a wealth of information. Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, how about lean on some of these guys that were really cerebral, great players in their day, and see if they can make a contribution to the football team and see if they can help the 49ers win that 6th Lombardi trophy. I mean, the one thing I'll never forget about Frank Gore is the day after the 49ers lost the Super Bowl to the Ravens in New Orleans. This guy was just still despondent. I mean, he is a champion competitor, and he lives 49er football. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's the 3rd all-time leading rusher. And if he can just impart some of that pride and some of that intensity and some of that competitive fire, that's a positive. And as far as Dashon Goldson's concerned, Dashon Goldson was an intimidator. Dashon, you knew where the Hawk was. You knew on the football field where Whitner was. That was a tremendous safety tandem. And I think I would love to see the Niner safeties play with a little bit more intimidating style. Now, the game's changed. You can't really separate guys from the football like you used to. You can't detonate on them and blow them up. But the level of physicality that Goldson brought and the way he played the game, I would love for him to share some of that information with Jair Brown, who looks like the next great 49er young safety. All right, hope you enjoyed our video, brought to you by Piggin' Up Pickle, best barbecue in Northern California. Getting ready for day 4 of training camp down here in Santa Clara. Should be a great Sunday.